I'm Michael Sazin, the Parrot Wizard, and I'd like to take you on a tour of my bird room. But before I do that, let's start from the outside and look at some of the features before we look at the rest of the bird room on the inside. The bird room is situated on the back of my house in the more secluded, quiet area further away from the road. The bird room is separated from my house with a steel door. And this is a door that you could use for the front of your house. It's an outside door. It's an outdoor door with plastic weather stripping all around. That keeps drafts from going in or out, keeps the air from going in and out, and moisture. Now over here I have the light switches for the bird room. They're not inside the room, they're actually on the outside, deliberately mounted so that the birds couldn't find a way of landing and chewing on them. And it allows me to control the lighting in the bird room without having to set foot inside. So whether I want to turn the lights on or off, I can do that without disrupting the birds and waking them up or opening the door and then trying to get the lights. I can turn them on before I even come into the bird room. Further still, these lights are on timers. I can set the time that the lights are going to turn on and turn off to maintain my birds on the proper schedule to reduce hormonal activity and keep the birds as used to a normal routine as possible. One of the two light switches is for the lights in both the big and the little bird room. They're tied together. The second one is actually for the shutters, the gates on the windows. You see, even if I just have the lights controlled with a timer, as soon as the sun comes up, it'll disrupt the schedule. It'll be light when I don't want it to be, or it'll get dark before I want it to. So by closing the shutters in the bird room, I can have the birds be a late riser and not go waking up all the neighbors at the crack of dawn. But at the same time, if I'm away on a trip or if I'm sleeping in, the birds will still wake up at the time that they're used to waking up because the lights will turn on and then the shutters will open a little bit later. Also, by keeping the shutters closed once it gets dark outside at night, keeps the heating bill down. One other feature that you can't quite see, but that's on the outside of the bird room, is some sound isolation proofing inside of the walls. There's multiple layers of both foam insulation and special sound deadening board, but it doesn't do very much. Birds are still quite noisy. So let's go on inside and look at the other features of my purpose-built custom bird room. Got our bird room shoes. Now the floor is quite clean right now, but sometimes there can be poop on the floor. It's a concrete floor, so it makes it quite easy to clean and can get water on it. Hey Rachel! Next, we've got the hanging bird stands in the bird room. They are hung from stainless steel cable, completely bird safe. And by having the stands hanging rather than standing on the floor, makes it real easy to clean underneath them and clean up the mess all in one shot. Hi Rachel, want to come show us your room? Hi, got some nice toys over there too. The bird room is divided into two different parts. There's the big main bird room and then the cage room just off behind the door. So I have the birds normally in their cages over here in the cage room. Each of the birds has their own cage so that they can have their own personal space. Also, these birds are different sizes, small, medium, and large. So it's not completely safe to leave them all out together, especially if I'm not around. So every day, one of the birds can stay out in the big bird room, and the other birds can stay in their cages in the cage room, and throughout the day or day by day, we can circulate and choose a different bird that can stay out in the big bird room and enjoy all the hanging play stands and flying around. The smaller cage room is separated from the main area with a large stainless steel mesh door. This is so that the bird that's out in the big room can't land on top of the cages and get a fight. Notice that the stainless steel door is actually double mesh with the mesh on both sides, and that's so potentially if I have a bird out in both of the rooms, they wouldn't be able to land on the mesh and bite each other's feet through the mesh. Now over here in the bird room, we've got the birds' cages. There's also a floor drain in the cage room to be able to wash down the cages and wash down the floor. There's that daylight right balanced light on top of the cages to keep it quite bright in here, and hooks on the ceiling, potentially for hanging some more stands and perches. Also, separate window just for the cage room. It has its own shutters so that it can keep out the light when the birds are supposed to be sleeping. Coming back to the main bird room. Back in the main bird room, got a door that goes outside to my backyard, the fully enclosed backyard aviary. It's all netted in, the birds can go flying, so I can just open this door and let the birds fly right out into the yard, completely safe. But at the same time, it's an outdoor door, so it keeps the room plenty warm. Now, it's night outside right now, but I also have a safety storm door just behind the outside door. That's so that potentially, if it's hot in the summer and I want to leave the main door open, that'll keep the bugs and predators outside. Also, the main windows, besides being able to open, there's a bug screen, but beyond the bug screen, there's also a storm security that ensures that even if the birds were to chew through the screens, they wouldn't be able to get out through the main bars. Also provides some extra security. Beyond that, the gates are shuttered right now. It's night, so no reason to let them open. So until the birds are up in the morning, those gates will stay closed. And once it's okay for them to wake up and it's their normal day schedule, the gates will come open automatically from the timer that's outside the bird room. Now over here on the other side, I've got a few closets for keeping the bird supplies. This one is a pretty ordinary closet, basic supplies for food and taking care of the birds. In a follow-up video, Mariana will go through a tour of how she likes to keep the bird stuff organized. But while I continue to show you the main facilities, here's the main closet. And inside, there's a countertop with a sink. Can wash the bird bowls and bottles right here in the bird room without having to go out to my kitchen or the rest of my house. Have the countertop space to be able to dry bowls, scale to weigh the birds, and some cabinets for some basic supplies. Now, further on inside the closet, besides the storage space for the birds' carriers, a big feature is the hose. So I've got a short garden hose here, and it actually has both cold and hot water. So obviously I use the cold water to be able to wash the bird room floor and the cages, but I can also mix hot water in with the second faucet so that I can give the birds a shower from the hose with more comfortable, warmer water. Down there, I've got some power outlets that are inside of the bird room closet, and that is so that I can have power in the bird room, but without the birds being able to get to it when the main doors are closed. As you can see throughout the room, it's all tiled shut. There's actually no power outlets where the birds could potentially get to them. So to remove any hazards and to keep the water out, since we're able to wash the tiles, there is power in the walls in case I ever want to return this to normal people use, but I had them tile over the outlets so that they would be disabled and water couldn't get to them. So the only access to the power is inside of the closet so that the birds couldn't have any way to get to that or have any kind of danger. Now the closet is tiled here with the white tiles for quick and easy cleaning, and the whole bird room is all tiled all the way up to the ceiling. I chose a two-tone tile for this room. The pink tiles kind of keep it brighter and a happier look, and the stony tiles at the bottom third, they give it a bit of a more jungle, natural environment feel. I felt that that was a way to make it feel a bit more natural in here than just having all the artificial tiles. The floor, as I mentioned, is concrete, and it's got an epoxy coating on it to allow for easy water draining. So I'm able to just wash the poop right off the floor and into the drain. The floor is all pitched, so the water goes right down into the drain itself. I can also use the hose on a misting setting to give the birds a gentle shower. Now, when the birds are out, I can keep this closet door closed so they can be away from all the more dangerous things in the closet, or things birds shouldn't be getting into. And over here, I have the cleaning supplies. Now, above the main closet, there's also a small secondary closet for storage, a good place to store long-term things like big perches, toys, spare toys, and more of the birds' long-term upkeep supplies. Over here, I have the air conditioner, which when I first had this bird room custom built, just got the house, I didn't know if I would be needing an air conditioner. Over this room is a roof, so I figured there's a potential that it could get quite hot. So I had the air conditioner installed, but luckily I haven't had to use it much. Birds are pretty resilient to warmer temperatures, so in the summer I just leave the windows open to cool things off, and the air conditioner hasn't been used that much, but in any case I had it covered with a custom stainless steel cover so that the birds could roam this room free of hazards, so they wouldn't be able to land on and chew on the air conditioner, or worse yet, chew on the wires. So the wires for the air conditioner, the night light, the carbon monoxide detector, and the thermostat, that's dedicated thermostat for this bird room, are all covered by the stainless steel cage over the air conditioner. Now the bird room has its own heating zone in my house off the main heating system. So there's a separate thermostat for the bird room so that I can keep the temperature of the bird room more consistent for what's good for the birds compared to the rest of the house. It's a radiant in-floor heating, so the concrete floor actually has hot water that goes through it, makes the floor warm, keeps a very comfortable, nice temperature in here for the birds throughout the winter. It also helps get the floor to dry up, so when we wash the floor heats up and it helps it evaporate. It also actually helps to maintain a more comfortable humidity level in the bird room during the winter as well. So rather than using a humidifier, which I would strongly recommend if you have your bird living in a normal room, but to keep the air from getting too dry in the bird room in the winter, we can just wet down the floor and that'll evaporate throughout the day, and the tile walls will do a pretty good job of keeping the humidity in the room, and it doesn't get too dry in here. It's very good for the bird's feathers. We've got 3 big, very, very bright daylight balanced light bulbs over the bird room to keep a very bright and comfortable environment. In the daytime, the windows will be open, supplemented by natural light as well. And of course, the birds can go out into our backyard aviary for direct natural sunlight. Alright, and there's plenty of room in the main bird room for the birds to be able to fly. Each bird knows their stands and flies back to their stand. And as you recall from previous videos, they do a lot of flight training exercise in the big bird room. And it helps me contain the mess by flying them here rather than in my living room when they're eating their treats or pooping, they're not making a mess. When I was flight training just 1 or 2 birds in my living room, it wasn't so bad to clean up after them, but getting to 3 or more, it starts to be a bit of a challenge to keep clean after so many different birds. So having my dedicated bird room that I can just hose down makes it a lot easier to give the birds frequent and good exercise, but without having to spend too much time on cleaning. As you may recall, when I had Santina, the green-winged macaw, she had a very large stand hanging here in the middle of the room. And during that time, Santina wasn't flying, so it was more important to have a very big place for her to be able to climb around. But since Santina wasn't able to fly, it wasn't practical to have such a spread out infrastructure as I do now. But since Katie, Truman, and Rachel are all adapt flyers, I opted to keep the room a little bit more spread out and keep the stands a little bit smaller and more out of the way, and offer them more flying opportunity by having a bigger open space for them to fly, and by supplementing with standing training perches or having the birds on their climbing stands in trees downstairs in my living room. So I love using the new perch Parrot trees and stands down in my living room or the tabletop perch in my bedroom. In the bird room, I opted to have the hanging stands to keep them off the floor and make it easier to clean down this floor when the birds are out. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of my custom purpose-built bird room. I'm Michael Sazin, the Parrot Wizard. These are my 3 parrots, Katie, Truman, and Rachel. Thank you very much for watching. You can watch plenty more Parrot Wizard videos at parrotwizard.com/videos and see all the different aspects of this bird room in action. Stay tuned for Mariana's follow-up where she'll show you some of the inside features that she likes to use and the way she keeps it organized. And check out my store, parrotwizard.com. Lots of specialized custom Parrot Wizard grade stands and perches and all the different supplies that you need for having your dream bird room in your house as well. Parrotwizard.com is the website. I'm Michael Sazin. Thanks for watching.